Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the show. This is The Civil Point, and I am your host, Ariana Dieva. And I am back with a brand new episode as we tackle the shit show that is going on in the United States, which is called The Show of the United States. The Shit Show of the United States. I honestly think, I said this to my friend the other day. I was like, honestly, I think each of one of us are individual channels, and the outside alien forces that are throughout the universe can just tune into our individual channels and laugh at us because it's just, there's no way all of this is real. You can't make this shit up. It just happens every day. And it's such an anomaly, an enigma of what's going on in our world right now. And it's just like, there's no way this shit is real. But if you haven't, you guys can definitely go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now so you guys don't miss out on brand new episodes of The Civil Point with me, your host, Ariana Dieva, as we tackle the tough, hard topics and really get into the deep down, dirt, gritty cracks of what is truly happening and forming in the United States today. It can be scary for some people. It can be a little bit nonchalant, brushed off a little bit as well, because a lot of people right now are in this mood where they just don't want to be incorporated with political ideologies and beliefs and rhetoric that's going on in our country because their lives alone are just so difficult and so packed that they have to take care of their family, their kids, their parents, their grandparents. They have to take care of themselves, and it's just a lot to take in. And it's sad to know that right now a lot of people are not tuned into what's going on in the United States. And one day they're going to wake up to a really rude awakening, and not just a slap in the face, but like Donald Trump's ass cheeks in your face type of shit. And you're not going to be able to maneuver how we've maneuvered over the past 50 years with our progression in the United States as human beings, as minority communities. So I really want this podcast, and I continue to do this podcast because people need to wake up to what is going on in this country right now. And what's going on is a complete takeover, a coup, an overhaul of the American system of democracy. And soon we're going to wake up and we're not going to have choices. We're not going to have particular freedoms. A lot of things will be restricted. And it's not to fearmonger. It's to honestly tell you guys straight up, if we do not stand up, we are going to be in trouble. Not in trouble, but we are going to be fucked. Okay? And I'm not trying to be fucked by Donald Trump's administration. So today we're talking a lot, because we just had breaking news that Letitia James is going to be indicted, or was indicted. And this is another political prosecution of Donald Trump's enemies. And this is why it is so scary what's going on now. People don't realize that this is a display and a show of power for Donald Trump. He was prosecuted fairly and justly because he was committed of 34 counts. He's a 34 count felon. And now he's saying, well, I'm going to make everyone else look as bad as me. But this is why his indictments on James Comey, on Letitia James, now a second indictment on a political enemy and adversary of his own, is so scary. Because it is not necessarily a grain of salt in his sugar, a grain of sugar in his sugar jar. It's not anything like that. Even though, the sweetness is a little bit good about him getting his revenge on his political opponents. What this more so represents is the state of how our democracy is going to fall. It is the fear he then instills in our public by prosecuting his political opponents and enemies with frivolous lawsuits and claims and allegations. And then with those frivolous claims and allegations that he's prosecuting high-ranking individuals, attorney generals of the United States, that will then trickle down in fear for everyone else, everyday Americans, to speak up against injustices. It is a power play. It is a it's a dictator move that no matter what you do, if you cross Donald Trump, you will be prosecuted, even with no evidence against you. So this is why it is very important to speak out about this, especially with the indictments of James Comey and Letitia James, because right now we are at a state where this administration, this regime is using their political power and manipulating our federal laws and our Constitution to prosecute and deem that they are untouchable. And the fact of the truth is that they are not untouchable. So when we come to an indictment, we have to talk about what an indictment is. So indictments basically are just like formal written accusations of alleged crimes committed. So when an alleged crime is committed, a grand jury then reviews the evidence, and then basically it's submitted to the defendant. And it's like basically you're being sued kind of thing, but more formal in a sense when a grand jury reviews the evidence and they believe that there is probable cause for a crime to be investigated and possibly go to trial. So when it comes to these indictments, it is a fear tactic. It is a straight up gangsta fear tactic for Donald Trump to use right now. And it is basically saying, if you cross me, if you have had crossed me, if you will cross me, if you ever think of crossing me, I will get you in a court of law, injusticely. Obviously, because there's no merit to these claims when it comes to James Comey. There's no merit to these accusations and allegations when it comes to Letitia James. It is simply vindictive and malicious prosecution. That is what this is for Donald Trump. Of course, it's a feather in his cap, but it's also promoting fear-mongering that if you cross this administration, we will have your ass on a platter. And whether there's truth to these allegations, whether there's truth, or even if there is or isn't any evidence, we will throw anything against the wall to prove that you are guilty of crimes you possibly didn't even commit. It is an abuse of our justice system. It is an abuse, obviously, of the presidential power. And it's abuse of our literal criminal justice system in a sense that he's literally removing lawmakers and attorney generals, and he's prosecuting them on behalf of himself because he feels that he shouldn't have been prosecuted in the first place for the crimes he was convicted of, 34 felonies. That's what's going on. So let's go ahead and get into Letitia James here, because Letitia, I'm so pissed at this. But again, when do you wake up, turn on the news, and you're not pissed? When you're a logical human being. When you're a logical human being, you have a proper train of thought and you have humanity, dignity, and empathy in you. You're waking up every day now, like, completely pissed off. You're like, what the is this man doing now? But let's go ahead and get into her response. All right, here we go.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system.
Desperate.
He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding. All because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost.
At any cost.
The president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order and have drawn sharp criticism from members of both parties. His decision to fire a United States attorney who refused to bring charges against me and replace them with someone who is blindly loyal not to the law, but to the president is antithetical to the bedrock principles of our country. This is the time for leaders on both sides of the aisle
Stand the fuck
to
up.
speak out against this blatant perversion of our system of justice.
I like that word, perversion.
I stand strongly behind my office's litigation against the Trump organization. We conducted a 2-year investigation based on the facts and evidence, not politics.
Not politics.
Judges have upheld the trial court's finding that Donald Trump, his company, and his 2 sons are liable for fraud. I'm a proud woman of faith, and I know that faith and fear cannot share the same space. And so today, I'm not fearful.
Oh,
I'm
that
fearless.
Smile says it all. She says, bring it on.
And as my faith teaches me, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. We will fight these baseless charges aggressively, and my office will continue to fiercely protect New Yorkers and their rights. And I will continue to do my job.
She said, bring it on. That is exactly what this woman just said. Letitia James, kudos to you. You're standing tall. You're standing 10 toes down, both feet to the ground, saying, bring it on. Those claims, the allegations are completely baseless. You will not find evidence. And if you find evidence of wrongdoing, it's probably fabricated by your Department of Justice. There is already such little faith in the Department of Justice and this regime currently. There is no transparency, and they've proven it every single day that they have stepped on a screen in front of a camera and opened their big fat ass lying mouths. There is no transparency. So you think normal, everyday people who are waking up now to what is happening and understanding that the transparency they were promised is no longer available because it was never intended to be there, is going to trust an administration that is doing baseless prosecutions for malicious intent and vindictive intent to go ahead and try and believe you guys now? Absolutely not. I can guarantee that to the core. There is no doubt that right now the American public is waking up, especially with these indictments going on. It's a fear tactic, and the fear tactic is not going to work with women like Letitia James and men like James Comey, who are everyday Americans who hold high positions and respect our Constitution and law. And as long as they stand up, that gives us a chance for everyday Americans to stand up. That's why our lawmakers, our politicians, our people in Congress, our people in the House of Representatives, the Senate, our Supreme Court, our local justice systems need to continue to stand up against this tyrannical regime, because if they don't, if they back down, then that's going to give room for them to go another 2 miles on the complete destruction of democracy. So Letitia James, I'm glad you made that statement, because it's saying bring it the on. And I'm here for it, because we need to bring it the fuck on. So I want to go into actually her indictment. So let's go ahead and bring up the indictment here. Bring up the indictment. So this is the official indictment for Letitia James. It's from the United States District Court of Eastern District of Virginia, and we know that Trump has removed attorneys and just put attorneys on, and it's just been a whole coup of a mess when it comes to prosecuting his political opponents. And in this indictment, I want to take a look at a few sections here, because it basically explains why she is being indicted, why these allegations and these accusations have developed, and why there is an indictment in place. So at section 6 here, it says basically she's being indicted for fraud, first of all. So let's start there. The fraud allegations is basically mortgage fraud for loans, and including backed by Federal National Mortgage Association. So basically she's being sued for misuse of loans as well as just bank fraud in general. So in section 6 here, it says the loan was originated by OVM Financial under a signed second home rider, which required James, as the sole borrower, to occupy and use the property as her secondary residence, and prohibited its use as a timesharing or other shared ownership arrangement or agreement that requires her to either to rent the property or give any other person any control over the occupancy or the use of the property. So this is where I find this a little bit fishy, just a tiny bit fishy. And this is why I think this is so frivolous. This indictment is frivolous. It's going to be thrown out. It is going to be dismissed if it goes in front of a court that is about justice and not about political prosecution of enemies. When it comes to mortgage loans and things of that nature, it's different with every mortgage loan servicer, but usually mortgage loan services don't have those kind of outlines. Now, they could. It's a possibility, depending on what kind of loan you get. But what I'm saying is that they would have had to do some investigation and find out about the fine print of her mortgage loan. And being that she has studied and she is literally the attorney general, I don't think she would make a mistake in regards to bank fraud and mortgage fraud. It just does not add up, especially when it comes to the amount that you are about to see. So if we go down a little bit as well, we have counts. Here we go. I wanted to say so count 1 is on bank fraud. So this is in regards to the U.S. Code 18, section 1344. If we go into section 1344 of the USC, which I have pulled up already, it just outlines bank fraud. And it's basically to defraud a financial institution. And that financial institution would be not only the bank itself, but now our financial government, because she's also being sued because taxes were misrepresented. So in count 2, it's false statements to a financial institution. The allegations in paragraphs 1 through 12 are realleged and incorporated herein. From or on or about July 20th, 2020 through at least August 31st, 2020, in the Eastern District of Virginia and elsewhere, the defendant Letitia A. James did knowingly make and cause to be made false statements and reports for the purpose of influencing the action of OVM Financial, a Fannie Mae-backed lender, upon an application for a loan, in that James represented and affirmed in uniform residential loan applications and related documents that the Perone property would be used as a secondary residence. So basically, they're just alleging that she's misusing the home in which she bought in violation of the Fannie Mae OVW? What did they say? OVM? Yes, OVM Financial servicer. So with that would constitute as fraud, because if the OVM servicer does have these restrictions in regards to property use, being that instead of using it as a secondary home for herself, she used it as an investment property, then being that it's an investment property, the tax issues are different when it comes to a personal property versus an investment property. And when it comes to the personal and investment property of the nature of this, they're looking for a forfeiture in regards to the actual bank fraud and mortgage fraud that is being alleged by our government. Basically, what it's saying is that they are looking for a forfeiture of the property, as well as $18,933. Yeah, everyday Americans, that's a large amount, but I think Letitia James makes enough money. I don't think she's going to commit mortgage fraud over $18,933. I don't think she's going to commit bank fraud over $18,933. It just, I don't see it. It just seems pulled out of the ass. It seems made up. It seems frivolous. And obviously, it seems like they dug for something. They thought they found something. They thought they were that girl. But it turns out they got shit on their face, because this is not going to hold up. I guarantee you, in a proper, just court of law that is abiding by the law and not Trump's regime, these allegations and accusations will be dismissed. Guarantee it. Now, if these accusations and allegations are not dismissed, well then we have something else to talk about, because that means the Trump regime is another step closer to enacting their plenary power when it comes to our justice system and how they act when they want to act, and on who they want to act. So this is why these indictments are so important. It's a fear tactic. It's fear mongering, saying if you cross us, if you dissent from us, we will indict you. Possibly even go further, not only to indictment, but incarcerate you for crimes that you most likely did not commit. And just so you know, this administration did say that they have, let me be very careful about this. This administration did say that they will find evidence. And when someone says they will find evidence, that most likely, you can assume they're going to find evidence, if you know what I mean. So in regards to this, when we talk about this Letitia James indictment, we have to understand from a legal perspective what it means to be convicted of this kind of crime when it comes to bank fraud. So you have to prove that this was a scheme in regards to the prosecutor. You have to prove that this is a scheme, or this was an intentional move to defraud a financial institution. So that alone is very hard, because you have to show a pattern of discourse and a pattern of actions that prove that someone tried to defraud the government or tried to defraud the financial institution in question. You also need to identify the intent to defraud. Now, the intent to defraud in this situation would be that she purchased a secondary home because of the tax issues. The tax issues of it all would render it cheaper for her than labeling it and buying it as an investment property. So the intent, allegedly, would be that she tried to defraud the mortgage company and not have to pay taxes on an investment property. You also have to produce material false statements in regards to the documents. So that would actually be discovered during discovery. And honestly, when it comes to this, I'm pretty sure they're not going to discover anything. And they also have to prove that there was a loss in regards to the financial institution. And if there was not a loss to the financial institution, there most likely was not a loss to the federal government when it comes to for tax purposes. So they have an uphill battle to climb against Letitia James here. The burden of proof is in their court. It's in their prosecution. It's in their ability to develop and find evidence that most likely does not exist. And if it does exist, it's going to be fabricated to make an example of Letitia James. So when we talk about the documentation needed, you do need to also understand that you need occupancy fraud. So you have to prove that Letitia James was not in that home and that someone else resided in that home while she was not in there. Not only resided in the home, but because the occupant resided in the home, it benefited her profit-wise and gave her a profit margin of some kind of increase when it comes to her funds. So it's basically claiming that she's fraudulent. And I just don't believe it. I don't believe that Letitia James is fraudulent in this case. And I don't think there's going to be supporting documents to prove that she is fraudulent. I think Either these documents are going to appear out of nowhere, fabricated, or they don't exist, and they won't exist, and they won't populate. So when it comes to Letitia James' indictment, let's just be very, very clear here. Letitia James' indictment, she is being indicted. But the thing is, when it comes to the indictment and when it comes to actual criminal conviction, the prosecutor is asking for the actual property to be removed from her name, as well as $18,000 in regards to damages. But when it comes to criminal prosecution, that prosecution can look way more different and severe. So for Letitia James, for one count of bank fraud and one count of making a false statement to a financial institution, if convicted on both counts, she faces up to 60 years in prison and faces up to a $2 million fine. That is a excess source of political execution for an enemy for Donald Trump. And it is a great example for Donald Trump to show if you cross him, he will bury you. Now, in the good faith of the universe, I'm hoping everything works out for Letitia James here, because it's just scary to know that we have someone in charge in the presidency, in the Oval Office, that is willing to do his bidding and dirty work, and other actual people willing to do his dirty work through our justice system and pervert it, like Letitia James said, with baseless and fraudulent claims and allegations with zero evidence. So, Letitia James, go girl, I'm with you, stand 10 toes down, you said you did your job, and I believe you did your job. And a man is just mad, a white man is mad that he got caught and had to be held accountable for his actions. So if we continue on here, I mean, the James Comey indictment is the same thing. The James Comey indictment is just an example of political power by the Trump regime to try and fearmonger everyone to fear this regime. If you cross us, we will get your ass on a plate. And the fact that, one second here, the fact that James Comey and Letitia James both were indicted by Trump. No, not by Trump, but the state's prosecutor. The fact that they were both indicted and both of them were on Trump's hit list of political enemies, it gives great prudence to the fact that this is nothing but malicious and selective prosecution from Trump's appointed attorneys. This is what this basically is. Not basically, it is what it is. You see it, it is what it is. So when we talk about malicious and selective prosecution and vindictive prosecution, basically that means you're going after someone because there are ulterior motives other than just justice from a court. It's not about any substantiated claims. It's not about substantiated evidence. It's not about substantiated points of view that actually get to a criminal court, as well as convictions. It's about sometimes even just bankrolling people and literally draining them of funds. That's what malicious prosecution is. I mean, in this case, malicious prosecution refers to an attack on political enemies because they did something you did not approve of or did something against you, like Donald Trump. But for evidence to support this malicious prosecution claim, we also need to understand that Trump is targeting political rivals through the use of our justice system sectors. And this is evidence in the claims he's made publicly, running for president of his second term, that he's going to prosecute his political enemies. This is clear evidence that Donald Trump is prosecuting political enemies at the behest of himself through our criminal justice system by appointing prosecutors, by appointing attorney generals, by appointing judicial officials to align with his prosecution. And this, of course, the timeline adds up. But what it really truly comes down to is if a judge, if this case gets to an actual trial, if a judge respects the law and Constitution and federal laws of the United States, or if they are emboldened to love and kiss Donald Trump's ass. That's what it comes down to. And right now, the line is very towed when it comes to the complete and utter loveocracy of Donald Trump. It's just completely diluted our justice system, our political system, our democracy in every sense of the United States. You also have to understand that the actual, you know what, also, he has made specific statements, especially to Pam Bondi on Truth Social, about prosecuting his political enemies. Evidence right there that this is malicious prosecution. When it comes to James Comey, when it comes to Letitia James, and when it comes to any other person that gets indicted by this administration, that statement alone on Truth Social to Pam Bondi will be significant evidence that this is a malicious prosecution and selective prosecution. So altogether, it's just like, what are we doing? Like, why are we doing this? And on top of it, he's saying, let's put America first. Let's put America first. But like, this isn't putting America first, because not only are you taking someone to trial if this indictment goes through and passes through the test, you're also going to now putting taxpayers' dollars into the system of a fraudulent case. America first. He's protecting your pockets, America, by bringing frivolous accusations against his political enemies, and you will pay for the trial. He's putting you first, of course. No, this is about putting him first, his agenda first, and his vindictive prosecution against political enemies first. He wants retribution, and this is what this presidency was about. It was about retribution, not about making America great. And I've said it, and I will keep saying it over and over and over. So in regards to Donald Trump, this is why we cannot have people who don't know about law in our political offices. Someone like Donald Trump, he thinks he's smart. Everyone in the room thinks that he thinks he's smart. But everyone in the world knows that this man is the dumbest motherfucker alive. In the wise words of Kamala Harris, these motherfuckers are crazy. Okay? Like, it's insane that Donald Trump can sit in a meeting in the White House on a national television, streamed everywhere, and say that he doesn't know who Habeas Corpus is. He doesn't know who Habeas Corpus is. Like it's a person. Like it's a human being. No, it's a term, Donald Trump. Let's take a look at this real quick. This is insanity.
Any more thought to possibly suspending habeas corpus to not only deal with these insurrectionists across the nation, but also to continue rapidly deporting illegal aliens?
Yeah, it's suspending who?
Habeas corpus. So.
Oh, I don't know. I'd rather leave that to Christie. What do you think?
No, sir, I haven't been a part of any discussions on that.
Have you given any more?
Suspending who? No, I haven't been a part of any discussions. Like it's a person, like it's a human being. No, it's a term, sir. It is a term. Habeas corpus is a term. And Donald Trump is sitting here like he literally is a dumb fuck because he is a dingbat. He is the literal definition of a dumb fuck dingbat, and I can't do it. It's ridiculous. Now, I am currently in my bachelor's program for legal studies where you study legal stuff, and you just brush up a little bit in regards to habeas corpus. And basically it's like, show me the body. What happens when a writ of habeas corpus is then submitted to a court is that basically you have to show evidence why this person that is now imprisoned is legally and lawfully imprisoned. That is basically what habeas corpus is, Donald Trump. It's not about anything about a person. It's not a he, she, they, them. It's not something you can target in legislation when it comes to human beings. No, habeas corpus is not a human being. It's basically a critical safeguard for actual people to feel safe when it comes to their imprisonment and make sure that their imprisonment is lawful. That is the true safeguard, to make sure anyone's imprisonment is lawful. So when a writ of habeas corpus is submitted to a court, the government must prove that their actual imprisonment of an actual human being is lawful and must provide substantiated evidence in regards to that detaining, that imprisonment. Okay? That is what habeas corpus is, Donald Trump. So let's please, can we get this man out of the White House? Can we please get this man out of the White House? Like, it's just like, how much more can we take? A man who doesn't even know anything about a legal definition of habeas corpus is sitting in our White House, and he's asked about suspending it, and he thinks it's a human being, like he's going to suspend a human being from the United States. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, you can't make this shit up. You can't. You just can't. Like, you can't logically or creatively think of this shit. You just can't. It's insane to me. But it's a little bit crazy, but here we go. I wanted to also talk about none other than these goddamn motherfuckers who are crazy. They are sitting in the White House lying about Tylenol. Again. How are you going to continue sitting here and lying about Tylenol when you have no information to back this crap up? Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this.
Many other confirmation studies. There's 2 studies that show children who are circumcised early have double the rate of autism. And it's highly likely because it showed children who are circumcised.
Really, what do you have to lose? You really don't have much to lose. Yeah, go ahead.
There's also there's many other confirmation studies. There's 2 studies that showed children who are circumcised early have double the rate of autism. And it's highly likely because they're given Tylenol.
So we're now equating circumcisions to autism. But then he's going to say the deciding factor of autism is the Tylenol. So he's completely, once again, doling out misinformation and conflating his own statements and contradicting his own statements. If Tylenol is the cause of autism, then circumcisions aren't the cause of autism. What? Like, is he crazy? Yes, I answered my own question here. He is crazy. But, like, it does not make sense. How are you going to claim that circumcisions cause autism while also equating Tylenol to the cause of autism? So is it Tylenol that was given to a baby during a circumcision that is the issue? Because that means Tylenol is the issue, not the circumcision. The circumcision alone is just a surgery. You're not putting any sort of medical pharmaceuticals into the baby's body if you're just talking about a circumcision. Then you have to talk about the effect of Tylenol. So the fact that he would equate circumcisions to autism and a rise in autism, you're literally insane. You're insane. You have no factual evidence to back this up. And then also he had a whole nother claim on this because it was a little bit pissed me off when I saw this.
They should be applauding what we're doing now. We're doing something that every administration, Democrat, Republican, and you should also get bipartisan Tylenol, only because of this. And Trump has now left the political landscape.
Here we go.
Somebody showed me a TikTok video.
So
this morning,
this is RFK, Human and Health Services, telling us about a TikTok. This man is getting his information from TikTok. He's getting his research from TikTok, not actual case studies. TikTok. Listen to this.
Before I came in here, somebody showed me a TikTok video of a pregnant woman, 8 months pregnant. She is an associate professor at the Columbia Medical School. And she is saying F Trump and gobbling Tylenol with her baby in her placenta.
This man knows nothing about anatomy. What do you mean her baby in her placenta? A placenta does not carry a baby. A placenta carries nutrients to a baby. It's not where the baby is held. This is the stupidity we're dealing with. Not only does he not know what a placenta does when it comes to pregnancy, he then goes on to talk about a video that he saw that was brought to him before he went into that meeting conveniently about a woman downing Tylenol while pregnant, screaming, "Fuck Trump." That's a complete and utter lie. I want to see that video. Please show me that video. Where is your evidence? Where is your case study? Since your case study is TikTok, I know you must have saved that video, or the millennial that gave you that video saved it for you. It's somewhere in the saves. Show us the video. Show us your case study of this woman saying "fuck Trump" and downing a bottle of Tylenol while she's pregnant with a baby in her placenta. Show us. Because none of it exists. None of it fucking exists. And this is the world we live in, where men like RFK, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, and some other old white man sitting around a table giving us health advice when they have no idea where the fuck a baby sits in a belly. This is what we have to deal with. And the misinformation that is coming out from this administration, especially when it comes to safety hazards of pregnancy, is alarming. Do not listen to these people. Do not listen to these people. And the clear indicator is that RFK doesn't know that the baby doesn't sit in the placenta. That should be your warning. That should be your red flag. That should be your red herring. That should be your let me stop participating in this, because this has now gone a little bit too crazy. It's insane to me. So we're going to go ahead and continue talking about RFK here a little bit. But RFK was also... There was an op-ed about RFK. And RFK literally was scolded. And when he was scorched when it comes to other health and human services professionals. So let me go ahead and get this article up here. So this is from former U.S. Surgeons General from both the Republican and Democratic administration. They wanted to make sure that it was a rare joint statement that literally told the public that RFK, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is endangering public health. He is the culprit of misinformation when it comes to your health, when it comes to Tylenol, when it comes to pregnancy, when it comes to autism, when it comes to fat, gay, black kids, okay? He is the misinformation central of it all. He does not know what the fuck he's doing to sit in that office and play God with people's lives about placentas. Not only that, he also said that he is now going to find the evidence. And again, when someone says find the evidence, they're going to make the evidence relevant to their hypothesis instead of doing actual case studies to come to a conclusion that either supports or disproves their hypothesis. It is completely hypocritical, and it is completely skewed for RFK to sit in this office and conduct any type of research. He is not a researcher, he is not a scientist, and he does not belong in the Office of Human and Health Services. So in regards to the vaccine misinformation, the mismanagement of information, the damage to HHS, the damage to the public, this op-ed is just stating that it's literally a tragedy that RFK is a leader who is now discrediting respected scientists and disrespecting transparency and, more importantly, disrespecting truth when it comes to health for human beings, for Americans. And this should be your red and 5 a.m. alarm red flag to turn this crap off. So at this point, it's like, what do we do? what do we do? The only thing we can do is to continue. The only thing we can do is to continue talking about this stuff, continue telling the truth, continue fighting the ugly fight that is this administration, that is this regime that relies on nothing but misinformation and disinformation and factless and baseless evidence that does not exist. That is the main goal here. Do not allow these lunatics, these batshit crazy politicians, scum politicians, persuade you to believe in the lies they are telling you. Do your own research, because circumcisions don't cause autism. Tylenol has not enough evidence to support RFK's claim and this administration's claim that it causes autism. The baby does not sit in the placenta. That should just be it for you. Like, if someone told you a baby sat in a placenta, that should just be it. Like, you have no education. This is why education is important. And this is why the Department of Education does not need to be dismantled. It needs to be rehauled. Linda McMahon needs to get the fuck out of there. And we need actual education. And RFK is the culprit of why we need education, the poster boy, as well with Trump, the whole administration, of why we need education in the United States and why it's so important. Because babies don't sit in placentas. Anyway, guys, this is the end of the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have not subscribed already, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now, because you don't want to miss out on brand new episodes of the Civil Point podcast with me, your host, Ariana Dieva. I hope you guys have an amazing night, and I hope you guys have also an amazing weekend coming up, and try and, do something in your life that makes you happy. Do something in your life that isn't revolving around the psychoticness of this regime, that isn't revolving around politics. Take a breath, go outside, ride a bike, play a video game. I don't know, take an educational course. I support education. I support RFK to go to 6th grade health class and find out where a placenta and what a placenta does. I'm leaving you on that. Enjoy the rest of your night, guys. Bye.